Furio have been closed because of the threat from Harvey. This is some video that we took earlier this morning. HEBs and Aransas Pass, Ingleside, Mathis, Portland, Rockport, and Centon have also closed, as you would expect, as this weather worsens. There's no word at this point on when they will reopen, so hopefully you've done your shopping and you've stocked up your pantry and you're ready to go for a couple of days of bad weather.
I talked to an HEB official. They reached out to me about the weather, and they said that their criteria is when they have tropical storm force winds, they shut down. And until the tropical storm or hurricane force winds go away, they're not going to open back up. And that might be a while, as we saw earlier. We're talking maybe Saturday night, maybe not until Sunday. And of course, they might not be at full strength, because what happens in a situation like this, and that's why it's so important to keep in touch with family, is because families get separated. Some stay and some leave. And so it might not happen right away. But yeah, 39-mile-an-hour winds, when they reach that criteria, they shut down. HEB shuts down. You're going to have to get rid of that before they come back online.
Part of the problem with that is with power outages, and for the latest on that, we're going to go over to our Andrew Ellison in the newsroom. I understand you have some new word about that, Andrew?
Yeah, Lee, you guys are on me now. I think you're on me now.
Yeah, go ahead.
We actually have some numbers.
We can hear you.
Yeah,
there we go.
Okay, good. You know, Dale mentioned that in a situation like this, power outages are going to be expected, and they are indeed happening, as you guys talked about. We do have some numbers. Overall, thousands of people in our viewing area are without power, possibly as much as 6,500, maybe 7,000. The numbers on the AEP Texas website change every so often. So what we have right now is the latest, or at least what we believe is the latest. What you're looking at right here is the scene in Flower Bluff, where things are actually particularly bad. Nearly 2,000 people are reportedly without power there. You're looking at what I believe might be Waldron Road. There's the Jack in the Box there in Flower Bluff, one of them anyway. Traffic lights apparently are not working. Businesses do not have power. I imagine a number of homes, of course, do not have power. So people there are really having a tough time without power. Some other areas of town, based on the AEP Texas website, some more numbers we can share with you. It looks like over 600 people are without power near the university. You're still looking at pictures of Flower Bluff, of course, but it looks like over 600 people near the university are without power. It looks like at least over 100 people on the island are without power. These numbers are continuing to change. We're going to monitor the AEP Texas website and stay in touch with them. So we're going to try to keep our viewers all updated on how these power outages are going and affecting people. And for now, we'll send it back to you, Lee and Stephanie.
All right, and that problem's only going to get worse as conditions worsen, because they're not going to send the crews out once we really get into the meat of this storm. So
we're not even there yet.
Yeah,
that's the most concerning part, that people are already losing power.
It may be a long wait before you get that electricity back in some of those areas.
And the key to that will be to watch the forward speed of the storm once it moves inland. Right now it's at 10 miles an hour, and it's been steady since this time yesterday. But once it goes inland, it's supposed to slow down. And that's where the problem lies. How much does it slow down, and how long does it stay in southeast Texas and south in the middle Texas coast?
That's going to be the worst part of the whole experience, I believe.
That's right, because we're going to be ready for it to be over, but it's not going to be over. It's going to be that second wave of heavy rain and flooding that's going to transpire with this Category 3 major hurricane. We haven't had anything like this in decades here.
That's right.
In comparison, now
let's talk about the AEP crews now, because I know a lot of people who are maybe lost power. They're wondering what the situation is. AEP just announced that 2,000 crews have either arrived or will arrive soon in our region. Now that's in addition, that's on top of the 300 workers that are already assigned to the coastal bend. It'll be a few days, but once the storm clears,
once it clears, which again is going to be a couple of days, as you just said.
Which means they won't be out there either, because they're people just like us, and they have to stay safe as well.
And that's another reason you don't want to be out there, because of down power lines and that sort of thing. Yeah,
it's dangerous. You don't want to, well, yeah, you definitely don't want to encounter any of that when you're driving on the road.
And the other thing that came up yesterday that I started to mention and needs to be reiterated eventually is once it gets a little better outside, which is, we're thinking ahead here, but there's going to be snakes.
Mosquitoes.
You talked about this.
And I forgot what the number is from Texas A&M Corpus Christi, but I talked to somebody out there, and they told me that I think 50% of them are poisonous in this area. So you have
He doesn't like snakes.
Key information, no, but you were saying even yesterday that you know, they were seeking higher ground already. So
Right.
while we were boarding up our homes, that we should watch out for
careful
that,
of that.
make sure that we had, you know, all our lights on and stuff. But
When
now
it comes to weather events, most animals are smarter than people.
they sense it.
They sense it. They have better senses than we do. They know something's up, and they move in advance. There was a lot of wildlife movement earlier this week that I saw on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday night. Lots of wildlife
Lots of
movement.
birds flying.
Birds and other
critters.
lots of other critters. Yes.
That's a really interesting point there. We were watching some birds this morning as we walked the dogs. We figured we had one more chance to
Right.
get them out,
Yeah.
let them do their business before they go back in and hunker down for the storm. And I saw a hawk swoop down and hit a little songbird
Oh.
and take it back up into the trees to eat it. So everybody's getting ready.
Yeah, I know. I did the same thing with my dog Griffin,
Yeah.
and yeah, he was like, you know, I know what's going on. Just leave me alone for a minute, and then we'll.
We
be
always
done."
have this problem. So when it's hot and dry, they're trying to get in to get some water.
Right.
And then when we have a storm, they're trying to get in to get away from the water. Well, federal aid, as we mentioned earlier, is standing by, and it's
Yeah.
going to come into our area once all of this is over, the main part of the storm.
Now, that's according to Congressman Blake Farenthold, who said that a federal emergency management agency response team is waiting right now in Seguin. You can see the congressman right there soaked. Seguin is near San Antonio. That's where a FEMA team is. He says that they have hundreds of thousands of meals, roughly 100,000 liters of water, thousands of tarps, and other things that maybe you might not think of, but that are necessary after a storm. Now, citing Hurricane Katrina, he admits that FEMA has come up short in some emergencies, but he's hoping that this time will be better. He is, however, worried about Harvey's possible duration in our area.
Right, I
My
believe
concern is that because this storm is scheduled to linger over the area, that it may be a long time before responders can get in with aid. So hopefully everybody's followed the guidelines and gotten plenty of water and food, so they'll be able to survive a few days on their own.
Congress is urging everyone to take this storm seriously, just like we've been telling you, because it is a serious storm now. We're in a Category 3 hurricane.
Yeah, and we hope that you're safe right now, watching us in your home with your family. But if you're not, if you're alone, we're going to get to know each other really well in the next few days. We'll be your family, and we'll be watching out for you, and hopefully you can stay safe and you have all the supplies that you need while you're home waiting out Harvey. In other news, law enforcement officers in Flower Bluff are prepared if residents get caught in those high floodwaters. Nueces County Precinct 2 Constable Mitchell Clark sent us this photo. He says that all of his patrol officers have life vests and ropes in their patrol units. They're going to be used.
That's what you see on the trunk of that one right there.
That's right. You see that in that picture. They will be used in case people need to be rescued from floodwaters. He tells us that as soon as the storm makes its way through our area, his department, along with firefighters, will be loading onto their fire trucks to assess the damage. And now we're going to send things over to Dale Nelson, who has an update from our weather center.
Yes, I want to take a look at the Doppler radar again. And again, this is very telling when you see a Category 3 hurricane on our Doppler radar loop. And again, Corpus Christi is right here, and it does look like this is going to go just north of us, but it has very strong winds. So we're still going to have strong winds, even though it's going to be north and east of us. But it's much better to be over here than over here or up here. And that's where it's going, up just north of Rockport. You can see the eye wall right here. This is the eye. The eye wall is this concentric thunderstorms that are wrapping around it, and that shows further intensification as it rapidly approaches the middle Texas coast north of us. And that's been, the forecast has been extremely accurate. And we've talked about this before, that the Hurricane Center is very good at predicting where a storm is going to go. They're not very good at predicting intensity, but they've gotten a lot better on this one because they had the Gulfstream aircraft flying over the top of this yesterday to get additional data. And it's a tremendous tool that they have to work with that helps in the forecasting of intensification that they said was going to happen, we believe was going to happen, and has happened. And you can see this line of vicious tropical downpour. This is very, very heavy rain. These areas in yellow and red, accompanied by 50, 60, 70-mile-an-hour winds. We've just seen a heavy squall work out to the airport, west side of Corpus Christi, headed for Robstown. And as we zoom in a little bit closer here, you can see these tropical showers. Rains real hard and then lets up, real hard and lets up. As this gets close to landfall, it's not going to let up. It's going to be heavy rain and wind going with it. You can see around Aransas Pass, and again, everything moving to the southwest. Then we have the Port Aransas area and over to Ingleside on the bay, southeast side of town out to the island. Again, just torrential rain coming down. Not so much here in downtown Corpus Christi now. We've just had a wave move through, and I can see out the window over this way that it's not too bad outside our KRIS 6 studios right now. And but it will come again. And now as we take a look at the track on this, I think we just went by. I'm going to back up here and see if I can get this to go again. The Doppler radar showing the rain, and then the track. 120-mile-an-hour winds at 7 o'clock tonight. This is probably going to be adjusted because it's going to be in this position, I believe, before that, based on what we just saw on the Doppler radar. The bottom line is that tomorrow morning it's still going to be a hurricane inland, just southwest of Victoria. And they're really going to be getting clobbered up there. And another area that we haven't mentioned too much about, Ostwell Tivoli and over at Bayside. You're in Bayside residents are right in the line of fire of this, so to speak, and up just to the north and east of Refugio. And then by the time we get to Saturday at 7 o'clock, this is about 30 hours out from now, still 80-mile-an-hour winds. And this is where, when it gets in this position, that's where the inland areas will start to see more wind. Not so much now, but once it gets in this position, there'll be wind coming from the southwest feeding into this, and that'll be during the day tomorrow and tomorrow night. So you folks out to the west, I know it's not bad, and it's not going to be too bad as we go into the evening hours, but the winds will pick up out your way tomorrow. And if you notice here, this is now Sunday at 7 in the morning, 65-mile-an-hour winds. And once it gets into this position, they're going to start to see very heavy rains over around San Antonio and also along I-10 east of San Antonio towards Houston. So this area is really going to be inundated by the time we get to Saturday night and Sunday, and we'll see a little bit of a break. The models show that they're right here. All that moving around afterwards, that's the uncertainty, and that's the stalling, I should say, of Harvey. And that looping back around is going to result in periods of very heavy torrential rains once again, which could be catastrophic in some areas. So to recap, the hurricane warning, of course, in effect, the storm surge warning along the immediate coastline and waterways, 6 to 10 feet here, higher up to the north. We now have a tornado watch in effect till 2 a.m. That's Refugio and Aransas counties and beyond, north and east. Again, that's the northeast quadrant that we keep talking about, the bad part. It's on our hurricane special on our website. Flash flood watch is going to be transformed into flash flood warnings, I'm sure, for much of this area as we go through the afternoon hours. This is in effect till Sunday morning. I could see that in effect until Monday or Tuesday of next week, the way things are looking now. Future tracker shows the heavier rain coming at about 4 o'clock this afternoon. Not that it's not heavy enough already. This is where the center of circulation would be tonight at 10 o'clock, and extremely heavy rain across Corpus Christi, and then shifting up to the north by 6:30 tomorrow morning. Again, lower and a lot lesser amounts as you go south and west. Still very heavy rain in our northern parts of the coastal bend at noon tomorrow. And then the rain continues to just ease up to the north at 6 o'clock in the evening. But look at this, Sunday morning, it's still raining over the northern half of the area. And again, very little south and west. That's the nature of the positioning of where you are with this storm system. And with that in mind, I wanted to show you also the rainfall amounts. And you can see 20 to 30 inches. This is going to be devastating to have this happen, and it's very unfortunate, but it's a part of tropical weather that takes place sometimes. And you can see that it's from Corpus Christi, north and east. Again, it's the key to where the storm goes in. South and west, the drier side of the storm, you see less rainfall amounts. They really taper off. What's the difference between yesterday and today? Well, yesterday we were just talking about through Sunday. Now we're including all the way up to Monday because of the stalling nature of this storm. And that's going to be the key to the flooding devastation that's going to occur after it goes inland, because the rain we're having now isn't too bad. The wind is going to be bad tonight. These are the gusts. These aren't the sustained winds, but these are just the gusts that happen and then it backs off for a while, and then the gust comes again and it backs off. 102 miles